So you were still dosing them up on vitamins.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I thought about too, like, where did he get sick from? Which I think we'll mention and come back to later. But we don't go places enough for y'all to be picking up stuff. I mean, the people that we are around are not sick. Like, people know how I am. If you're sick, stay home,
please.
But my mom had asked me, I was trying to remember, my mom had asked me, like, do you give him his vitamins? I'm like, yeah, every day. You don't remember, like, he's always talking about gummies, those are his vitamins. And she was like, oh, well, how did he get sick? I said, honestly, it might be the preemie thing. And I think my youngest only got sick because they didn't stay out of each other's faces.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I really think that if he just catches a germ in the air, just being outside, he's just a little more susceptible to it than anybody else around him is. And a friend of mine, her husband was a preemie, and she was like, oh yeah, it's true. It's like,
same thing with my little sister, preemie, respiratory issues, bronchitis, all that great stuff.
I don't know all of what he deals with. I don't know if he gets sick often or if he gets sick really bad. But
I must say, my little sister stays sick, so that's unfortunate. I never put it together, honestly, until you mentioned it, but she stays sick.
I don't know if it was well known. I mean, she's grown now.
Yeah.
And I just learned. I mean, I didn't have any reason to research preemies before.
Yeah.
But yeah, his tech told me at the hospital, and I was like, well, that's great. And she's like, it's not a huge deal. Like, he's not going to be sickly and in the hospital all the time, but definitely make sure that you keep him up on his vitamins, keep him hydrated, watch him if he's into sports, make sure that his breathing is okay, things like that. So yeah, we'll cross those bridges when we get to him, the sports and things. But I think he's been pretty good. I mean, he's slightly sheltered, so we'll see when he goes off to school. We shall see. But his fairy guy is back. And then projects, some of which I have tried, some of which you have tried. I have made regular and breast milk soaps. So when I was nursing, I did a lot of research into the liquid gold. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to, especially if you have milk that is no longer drinkable. Of course, not if it's molded or anything.
Yeah.
But if it's not drinkable, you can still use it for homeopathic projects and things like that. So I had some that was in the freezer. I was like, I know this is past date to drink, so I'm going to make soaps for them. And those soaps were amazing.
Nice.
For theirs, I did not put any essential oil in it. I literally just did the soap base, which I want to say is vegan, but don't quote me. And I ground up, which it was kind of a learning curve. I ground up actual oatmeal so that I can make oat powder. And I put that in there. The only issue with that is when you melt down the soap base, it's hot. So it was starting to really thicken up with the oatmeal. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I have to hurry up and mix everything in, make sure everything is like evenly distributed in the soap mold. So that was kind of a learning curve, but it did end up going really well. I chopped, because the bars are probably about like standard size. I chopped it in 4 and then stored it in the fridge because, again, it's still breast milk. And then the smaller piece that I would use in the tub. That came out really well. Then I tried making breast milk lotion, and it failed miserably. It calls for beeswax, which I was trying to melt and melt and melt, and it wasn't melting. So that was the first thing. And then I had to keep adding additional ingredients. I forget all of which. I know it's grapeseed oil, the breast milk, and beeswax. I want to say there's another ingredient, but that could be it. You can add essential oils and like natural vegan colorings and things to it. But again, I was making them for my babies. So I wasn't adding all of that.
Yeah.
And again, it's breast milk. So store it, properly. I put it in an airtight container, but I did not put that in the fridge. So it grew mold and I had to throw the whole thing away. And then trying to get the proper consistency took forever. And I was like, I don't know if this is like mostly grapeseed oil at this point or if they're still going to get the benefit, but I think I used it like once or twice, and I came back to it, and it was like, no, girl, you can throw me away.
All done.
Yeah. Cocaine. That sounded like I said cocaine. Cocoa and shea butter. I have made. My mom is more into shea. I'm more into cocoa butter. It smells like chocolate. And you can buy blocks of it off of Amazon, or I mean, probably at like health food stores as well. And cut off what you need, melt it down, add your oils. So olive, jojoba, grapeseed. I bought vitamin E, castor oil, like whatever oils. Do your research, find out what's beneficial for your skin. Almond oil is really good, but I don't really care for the smell of it. So that I definitely would say is a success. I did with me and my son's last batch of cocoa butter, add some essential oil into it. I added some lavender into his for like calming after his baths. Yeah. And it came out really, really good. I put a little extra oil so it's nice and soft. That one was good.
That sounds good.
Yeah. I'll make you some if you want.
If you want to put in the work and the effort, go for it. Because I'm
hearing all
the ingredients, and I'm just like,
it sounds like a lot, but once you melt down the cocoa butter, it's oil in the pan. So at that point, then you just take the oil and add. I mean, obviously not too much of each if you're adding a lot of different oils, but you add in all your little oils. I will say vitamin E. I want to put a little bit more because I know that's really good for your skin, but vitamin E has a strong smell.
Does it? Yeah. Oh my God, I wouldn't know.
Like I put a little dab, and if I don't smell it in the mixture, I'm like, okay, you can have a little extra dab.
Right.
But that's it. And then after you do that, you pour it into the containers, put the lids on, and pop it in the fridge. Make sure you watch it so it doesn't. I mean, you can put it in the freezer if you want to use it earlier, but you have to watch it because it'll get too hard and it won't soften back up when you take it out. But it's easy. I'll make some for you.
Okay, sounds good. But thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Flaxseed gel I also tried. That I had to work that one out. It didn't fail, but I was waiting for it to thicken in the pan. Essentially what you do is water and flax seeds, and that's literally it.
That's it.
Yep. Okay. You boil it and you have to continuously mix it so that it doesn't stick to the sides. And then when you're done, you can get a jar like this, cut the feet off of like a pair of stockings, or you can get cheesecloth or something, drip it over top, pour your mixture in, and then you have to squeeze to strain out the seeds.
Oh, okay.
And get the gel into the container. A lot of people will say cut your fire just before it's ready so that you can let it sit in the heat and cool down, so when you're straining you don't burn yourself.
Right. Yeah, of course.
So I did follow that, did a lot of research before I tried it. It did end up going well. The only issue is that I didn't use enough of it. It's a food product, so it can expire, it can mold. I kept mine in the fridge. I used it for my oldest when he had his long, beautiful, handsome curls, and his hair looked amazing. It lasted about as long as if I would have used a store-bought product. It wasn't as snatched as like Eco Style or something like that, but I was like, there's no chemicals in this. I made this in my kitchen. I know exactly what's in it, and not only that, but it's good for his hair. Yeah. So it's just a matter of making a small enough batch so that it doesn't expire before you get to use it all. And that's then cool. If you make a smaller batch, obviously you have to make it more often.
But it sounds simple enough.
Like, yeah, it's simple. Nice. Then the next was tinctures and salves. So I'll shut up now because I've never made either. And you can tell me about your experience with those.
Oh, well, I have tried to do an arnica salve, which is good for like wounds and stuff like that. It's a good healing. Didn't go well because I procrastinated on getting beeswax for it. So I had to hold this huge mason jar of it, got the olive oil, everything that I needed, let it sit in a dark place, cool dark place for like a month or two. Like you have to really let it saturate.
Okay.
And I just never made it that far.
But is it so good if it's too long or it
No,
goes
no,
bad?
it's fine if it says it's preserved, so it's
Okay.
fine. It's just it got to the point where I was like, oh,
You don't want to?
yeah, like I don't know if I feel like, cause you gotta buy like the containers for it and stuff like
Okay.
that. You gotta keep in mind like, you know, storage and stuff like that. So I'm like, if I have this huge mason jar, so I'm like, I'm gonna have like 30, 40 counts of these little containers, I'm gonna have too much.
And then that has to be refrigerated as well?
No, no,
Okay.
because it has the
Oh, you said it's
beeswax is
preserved.
preserved. Yeah,
Okay.
the olive oil. I have had comfrey oil or salve made for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've used it for my piercings when they were healing, and they healed really well. But you don't want to consume it. It's topical only.
Okay.
It can cause liver damage if you consume it, and there
Okay.
is um there's some cons to it to where like there is some speculation that it can be absorbed into your skin and could cause damage,
Okay.
like those negative effects. I personally never had any issues with it that I
Okay.
can say that I've experienced,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also not to be used every day. It's as needed.
Yeah.
So if you have a bug bite or something and you have that inflammation, people use it for like osteoporosis,
Oh, wow.
joint pain and stuff like that. So it definitely does get down into the skin to be able to get to those muscles.
Mm-hmm.
But you really have to do your research, like you say, and make sure it's right for you.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Does that, do you know if that one has castor oil in it?
No, not that I know of.
Okay. I heard recently that you can use, um, like you get a rag or something, like an old t-shirt, cut it up and put castor oil and put it around where you have joint pain, or like for women for their cycles, just lay it there, leave it for hours, or if you can wrap it properly so you don't oil stain stuff, you can sleep in it, and that it can do all kind. I've heard of women wrapping it on their breasts when they were like, oh, I got scanned and found out I had a tumor, and it shrunk the tumor to the point where I don't need surgery anymore. I don't know anybody personally who's done any of those things, but I was curious after you mentioned joint pain if it has castor oil in it.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it does. I don't know if the batch that I had did. Okay. If I'm honest, I'm not even 100% sure of the process that was done to make it. Okay. I've never done it myself because I have to order it and all that stuff, and I'm lazy. And I also
feeling it.
and I also had plantain plant oil made for me, and it's good for bug bites, spider bites. Like it's like it quickens the process of healing. Okay. Very, very well. And that one I believe you can use on open wounds as well. It's like good for cell regeneration and stuff like that. So it works really good. And we have some plantains growing in our backyard. So we have quite a bit of good medicinal stuff that grows in our backyard, luckily. But I wouldn't use anything in my backyard in like the meat where it's like cleared out. I wouldn't do that because we do have pesticides that get sprayed. But in our backyard, probably I will forage and look there, or even in my front yard because that doesn't get sprayed. Yeah. But like if I find something good, I'll definitely be like, hey, look what I found. I got my homeopath like book of how to use all these different things. And then I love my book. It's like 5,000 different things to know between like animals and I love that book. Yeah, I want to get back into it, but that's all I've ever personally used or try to make on my own. Like it's a very scary world because you have to know how to mix things, know what it's for, know how to use it,
and knowing what does not mix with other things. Yeah, that's what scares me. The things that I do, I feel like are a little more tamed versus if you mix this herb with this herb, they're both natural, but like you don't want to put them together.
St. John wort is one of those ones that you like gotta be careful with. Like you don't want to mix that with anything. Be very careful.
I won't use it.
Don't do that.
I'll be very careful.
But in opposition to it, you can do dandelion root, which is really good. It really nutty. It's delicious. Get some of that. It works really good. Yeah. So do that. But that's also something that can be store bought. They do sell dandelion tea, so you don't have to worry about foraging on your own. Try. Yeah,
I just never bought it, but I'll try. I know you told me the taste is really good, so
it is just good. I like it.
I will try that one day.
Says the lady who likes licorice. delicious.
Listen, I remember you telling me like it's really good. I was like, listen, if I buy this and I don't like it, I'm giving it to you. You were like, okay, that works for me. I'll try. I'm down for trying something, but if I try it and I don't like it, then
it's fair.
I won't try it again.
It's fair. Try it once.
So for cold and allergy meds, I do go the my babies are a little smaller, so there's not really a lot I can give them anyway. But I'm not gonna let my babies suffer. I have used syrup and pellets for my oldest. He was exhibiting signs of having allergies. I have them really bad, but they have a mind of their own, on and off. Like they'll be bad and then they'll be good, whatever, depending on the year and what's growing, I guess. He was like rubbing his eyes a lot. He would sneeze, and I'm like, okay, I know you're not sick. So little things like that. I was like, let me get something that's natural and give that to him. And I feel like even for me as an adult, I've used the syrup that I got for him. It works a lot faster than medicinal, but it does not last as long because, you know, with medicinal things, you take like a Tylenol that can be for a headache and it can last 2, 3, 4 hours versus if you use a cold pack or whatever, or warm compress for whatever you're feeling. It can work, but it's not going to last or work as well.
Yeah. It reminds me of elderberry where they like take a teaspoon every hour. Whereas you can take like, you know, Robitussin or something that's like take it every 6 hours.
Right.
Like,
so I'm totally not against meds, but for my kids and for myself, I feel like if I can remedy whatever naturally, then I'll do it naturally. And if I can't, then we're going to hit this science lab and fix it. So
I love that.
Another thing that I've used for cold and flu symptoms, I do not know if I'm pronouncing this right, but it's called oscillococcinum, I believe. It is not cheap for what you get, but I will say it works.
Okay.
At the first sign of cold and flu symptoms, you can go to Target, probably Walmart, like any CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, whatever. And they're tiny little tubes like this, has a little cap on it, and it has little white pellets inside, like the allergy pellets that I got. And you pop them under your tongue. They taste really good. Tastes like you're eating candy. Let them melt, and usually you will either disappear your symptoms or lessen them.
Okay.
Even with one dose sometimes if you catch it early.
Nice.
So I would definitely say I stand by that because that is labeled as homeopathic. So there's nothing medicinal in it, which I think is great.
Nice.
Our last topic would be dealing with sickness as a stay-at-home mom, whether you are sick or they are sick or everybody's sick.
Everybody.
And the differences between common flu, COVID, RSV, and severe allergies, which none of us have. So how do you deal with sickness as a stay-at-home mom if you are the one sick and if they are the ones sick?
Okay. Of course, to reiterate, my kids are much older. So if they get sick, it's go to your room, stay in your room, text me when you need something.
Quarantine.
I will check on you every so often, do a little knock, peep in. Are you good? All right, close the door. Like, you know, but it's always like, what are your symptoms? All right, here's a lineup of medicines and procedures that we're going to follow to get you through this. But minimal contact is like minimal contact. So it's easy with them. They get sick. And then, of course, the luxury of being a stay-at-home parent is that you don't have nowhere to report to. So it's like, all right, I'm going to be on the couch. You be in your room and you just ring the bell when you need me. You know, it's as simple as that. If I am sick, again, my kids are older, go to your room. Mama's going quarantine in her room, and I don't want y'all running around the house causing chaos while I'm trying to rest. But admittedly, I don't rest when I'm sick.
Oh, wow.
So I would just put on a mask.
Is it because you don't want to? You feel restless? Why don't you rest?
Because things still got to get done. So it's like if it doesn't get done today, like you just do it tomorrow. Like, okay, well, it still has to get done no matter when you get it done. It has to get done.
Things off. But again, like you said, you have older kids. If, of course, with them being younger, they rely on me more. So I do the necessities, obviously. But anything that's like can get done tomorrow, it does get done tomorrow.
Yeah. See, I can't do that. I think it's ingrained in me to be productive, and it's like my mom even growing up, my mom's like, like I'm sick, I can't go to school, and it's just like, well, okay, don't go to school, and then the next day, like, oh, you feel better by 10 o'clock, you should have went to school, and it's like, well, the medicine you gave me worked, but I'm still sick.
Yeah,
I'm less symptomatic,
right?
So that was ingrained in me to say, like, if you feel good enough to be on your phone, then you're good enough to get up and mop that floor, So it's a bad habit that I do need to break, but that is my mentality on it. It's like, I know I can rest. I know I should feel better.
Balance. But I feel like maybe staying in motion, well, not maybe, for sure. Staying in motion is always good for your body. But of course you do need rest. So just finding a balance, still being productive. Like, laundry needs to be done, but instead of doing 2 loads, I'm going to do 1.
Right, yeah.
That way something got done.
Yeah.
But I'm still able to sit and rest.
Right. I think during COVID, when we had COVID, that's the one time I got knocked on my butt pretty hard. Like, there was no moving without, like, coughing or not being able to really breathe right. So that was probably the only time where, like, I was knocked on my butt. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And my kids really had to fend for themselves. But at the time, like, we all had COVID, but they recovered a lot faster, and they had a negative faster than we did. So we had a quarantine from them, and it's like, how do you take care of your kids if you're quarantined? Like, you literally have to quarantine. Like, it's not. It's just
go to your room so I can come out and make you food.
So, but that's what it is. I doubled my mask. I washed my hands, like, just germaphobe, just washing. Yeah. Like, I did the best that I could to function, but we did a lot of ordering through, like, Target and was like, please deliver my groceries, so that my kids had things to their disposal that they can, like Lunchables and stuff that they could just grab and go. That was like, it was like 2.5 weeks of that. That was hard, but we got through it.
That sounds hard. I was going to be one of my next because we haven't experienced COVID in here. We slipped past the pandemic.
Don't put that on your bingo list. Like, let it just ride through. Just never get it.
Yeah. These 2000, honestly, since 2020, all the bingo cards have been like, just don't play bingo.
Yeah, don't do that.
I don't think we've dealt with flu either, with ourselves or with our kids.
It's been so long since we had, but we get flu shots. So,
see, my husband being military does, but me having had past experience, do not.
They're not for everybody.
And so, again, a little transparency. My kids don't get that. They get all their vaccines, but they do not get flu shots. And I'm not entirely sure how I will decide when they go to school, because school is a different beast than home.
Yeah.
And they might need it. So honestly, I probably will start doing that for at least my oldest when he goes off to school, and then my youngest goes give it to him. But like, as little babies, being home all the time, I'm careful about who's around them and where we go. During the pandemic, I was a basket case. Now that it's, more calm, I'm still conscious and clean.
Yeah.
But
I don't think mine's got that or flu shots super early either. I think there might even be an age limit for it anyway. I'm not sure, but I don't remember
if it's fresh out the womb, but maybe at 1 is when they start.
So yeah, there's a chance that they could have, and I didn't realize it because going through on base, they're just like, we're going to give them X, Y, and Z, and it's like, I guess I'm going to do what you tell me to do, But now as an older parent, you're like, what is it? What is it going to do? Like, you're more aware and can ask those questions. But when I was a younger parent and had younger kids, I didn't know any better. So, like, you're like, I'm going to give them vaccines. I'm like, okay, just give them back. I didn't ask what it was that they were getting. So there's a chance.
Had to be, I didn't have to, but I had a family member who got MMR and had a seizure. And everybody knows measles, mumps, rubella is a combo shot in and of itself. Yeah. And these days, they're like, you're getting MMR, you're getting rotavirus, you're getting pneumonia, you're getting this. They want to shoot them up with everything all at once.
Yep.
And in hindsight, I'm so glad I did this. It was out of one paranoia for the family member I'd heard of. It was the only case I think I had ever heard of something like that happening. They tell you that there can be symptoms, but a lot of people don't know someone who have actually experienced that, and I did. And then my first being born so early and so tiny, anything that I didn't have to do, I didn't. So if they were like, oh, he's due for these 3 shots, I was like, cool, give him one.
Right.
I'm going to see if he has a reaction. We'll be back. Was it annoying to drive back and forth to the doctors to try to keep that schedule? Absolutely. Was it worth it? Yes. Would I do it again? 1,000,000 times.
That's smart. I never thought to do it that way. Like, you have a lot to say.
Yeah.
And so you just got to speak up.
And two, once they have the, there's more than one round of some of them. So once he's had his first round of everything, I'm like, well, you don't have any allergies. If it's a combo or there's one that's oral. So that one I was like, okay, like pain wise, he doesn't have to do 2. I'll go ahead and do the 2. And God forbid he has a reaction. I know it's one of those 2.
Right.
So we tried our best to do as much simple as we could, but it definitely, it was rough starting out. I did the same thing with my second. I was like, y'all gonna pick one, give it to him, and we'll be back. Like, don't worry about our gas and our time.
Yeah.
Looking out for my babies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then RSV was the last thing that we had dealt with. I, till this day, cannot tell you where it entered our household from. But our youngest was almost exactly 6 months. And he started showing symptoms of something. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to make him an appointment right now because he was literally about to have his wellness check. I was like, he has an appointment coming anyway. We go for his wellness check and she asked us, do you want to have him swabbed for flu, COVID, and RSV? I was like, yeah, sure. I don't think he has any of those things, so go ahead. And then she's like, oh, came back positive for RSV. I was like, what is RSV? I've never even heard of that.
Right.
Mind you, again, nobody else in the family's sick. This boy don't go anywhere. Like, he stays sheltered for the most part. He's breastfed, so he's getting the best of the best. Like, where did this come from? Being the mama bear that I am, I was like, I'm going to do any and everything that I can to comfort him and make him feel better. That was rough. The biggest thing I think would be, because not to say I don't care about myself, but my biggest concern was I want you to feel better. Like, me as an adult, I can take all these meds and knock this out.
Yeah.
And whereas I couldn't give all that stuff to him. So if you're suffering, I can only do but so much. My biggest thing was it's a lot more contagious amongst children than it is adults. And my oldest, when we bought my youngest home, he was like, oh, cool, that's a little human. Your belly's gone? Oh, all right. All right, I'm going to go play. And he would do what I call check-ins. He would come and check in like, oh, you're still here? You're doing good? All right, cool, I'm going to go play. Right after my youngest gets RSV, he's like, you're my best friend.
Oh,
I'm like,
convenient.
What? You need to stay out of his face. Why? Why are you so into him now? So, yeah. That was the biggest thing, is trying to keep them apart. We did our absolute best, and it lasted for a while. But as the youngest was getting better, the oldest got sick.
Of course.
And RSV is nasty business. So
that. Never experienced it myself, but I heard things about it.
Yeah. Honestly, I have to say, I was going to say it's like a cold on steroids, and your mucus gets really, really sticky. Whereas like if you blow your nose with a cold, it's coming out usually, unless you're stuffed up, congested. But with RSV, it can not be congested. It's just so sticky. It doesn't want to come out.
Okay.
So she was like, you're going to have to aspirate him constantly. Like, removing that is going to be the key to making sure he doesn't get better. So I realized that for, I guess, parents who, not that they're neglecting their kids or they're not doing well enough, but if they don't know soon enough and they're not getting all that mucus out, that's what turns into pneumonia.
Oh, okay, right.
So
that's what I was thinking. I was like, it sounds a lot like pneumonia.
Yeah. The outbreak that happened, what was it, last year?
I think so.
There were kids going in with RSV and bronchitis, RSV and flu, RSV and pneumonia. They were having several different things. There were like 6-month-olds and 8-week-olds that were getting put on oxygen. I was like, that's crazy. Like, we didn't go through any of that, but I think it was because we caught it early and we did everything. Like, I bought baby chest rub and slathered that up on him. I put Vicks on myself, got in the shower. I made it not hot enough where like, oh, it's gonna burn him, but enough to create some kind of steam.
Yeah.
And I had to manually, mommy, remove some of that mucus. It was gross. I would do it again. Don't want to, but yeah, it's. I think we definitely we were blessed with our RSV experience, because what I heard was going on, I was like, I don't know if this is a new strand or if we just caught it early, but it's rough.
Yeah, I'm glad you got through it though. I remember us saying like, we're not coming over anytime soon.
No, I wouldn't have wanted you guys to. I try to tell everybody when they were visiting, I'm like, okay, he's got this little cough, because this, we're trying to figure out what it is that he got. And then we found out what it was and was like, he's sick. Don't have him in your face. Yeah. Like, I know he's cute, but
weirdly enough, I don't think that we actually have, like, we met your youngest when he was first born, but we didn't touch him.
Yeah.
I don't think we fully got to like hug him until he was 1.
I don't remember when it was, but I know it wasn't immediate.
It took months to meet that baby.
Yeah.
I think he was already crawling for sure by the time we got to the like.
I remember I do remember you guys coming over and you guys were like, oh my God.
Yeah, because nothing but tears, because like finally got past COVID bigger. And then he had RSV and it was like, we're going to leave that alone. We're going to let him get better and not expose him.
Yeah.
Tough times.
And you guys having your own schedule and him having to get his first set of vaccinations and everything.
We were so cautious and careful. Even with your Otis, we were like, the world is too dangerous right now. Yeah. So we're going to just keep our distance and see from afar.
Lonely business, the pandemic. Very lonely business. But we're here
to get through it.
Tell the tale and live another day.
Yep.
So, unless you have anything else?
No, that was everything.
That wraps up this episode. I didn't think that would actually run that long.
Me either. But
yeah,
we had some good things to say.
Yeah. So, be natural if you want, and don't if you don't. But
do your research.
Don't be scared.
Definitely don't be scared. Yeah. It's worth it. It's worth it.
I agree. Peace and love.
Bye.